poems, or your favorite poem that you relate to most right now?
Well, my one for Alaska that I like is kind of shy on pity. Oh, this is the law of the Yukon, and ever she makes it plain. Send me not your weak and your foolish, but only your strong and your sane. Strong for the red rage of battle, sane for I harry them sore. Men who are girt for the combat, men who are grit to the core. The others, the misfits, the weaklings, I trample under my feet. Drown them like rats in my rivers, starve them like dogs on my plain. But the others, the strong ones, the brave ones, to these I will take to my bosom, these I will glut with my meat. The others, the misfits, the weaklings, I trample under my feet. I love that one. I built this lighthouse on a blinker that Diana wanted me to put in. We put it. It was a get that heating fixed. It's been in the water all this time, you know. That's the sound of tomorrow. The fellow that built Gus's place, an old Swede, born in Mosel, Sweden, 1888, and when Diana and I started having children, he came over one day with tears in his eyes and said, 35 years I've been here, and you know how wonderful it is to hear the sound of children playing. And I've thought of that through the years, you know, when they can come over and talk and say, hey, Grandpa, you know, I'm interested. But I, too, want to hear the sound of children playing. Without it, there's no tomorrow. That's the sound of tomorrow. Started here, you can disconnect that. Okay. But first I have to make the switch. Oh, I don't fit in where I came from anymore. I went back and the way that people think and the way that people talk, you know, it's not mine anymore. You know, I go to Idaho or Montana, I'd feel more at home. You know, people that are talking about raising cattle or how much wheat to the acre, or something that's solid, something that's real, something that's producing something. You know, I go back to Northport, and they're talking about the latest, the music stars or the latest, you know, games. It reminds me of ancient Rome before it fell, that the thing that the people demanded was bread and circuses. And that seems to be what's happening back there. There's nothing real, and I don't fit. I ran away from home so many times that my father finally rented a permit on one of these big estates that was in receivership, and my mother would make me change clothes and take me out and turn me loose, and with a shotgun or a fishing rod. And then Sunday night she'd come honk the horn, and I'd come out of the woods with some fish or some squirrels or something, you know. But I was alone in the woods. It was that or I was going to run. And I came here and I took to the bush real easy. That's why my mother-in-law was so opposed to the marriage, saying he's not a man, he's an animal, he lives in the woods. And years later she said, I never saw a man domesticate so quickly. Well, the reason I was in the woods, I didn't have a mate, you know. I was out searching for what was going to be. Oh, me, I was too dumb to know anything, you know. I'd never really had a girl. I went to the jungles of the South Pacific and into Guadalcanal at 17, you know, and I really had never had much to do with girls. Not that I didn't want to, you know, it's just I was too dumb to know. And I came back and then came to Alaska where it was 8 men for every woman. And here I am, and Ada Latham, who kept their boat over here and who fed me many a meal, decided that Diana and I would make the perfect pair. So every time I came to town, they invited Diana over. And I wouldn't look at her while I was eating, and she thought something was wrong with her. The problem was I couldn't have swallowed it if I'd been looking at her. So I asked her out and brought her to Halibut Cove. I was new here then, had a little 2-room log house. So took her around, went up on that point where I could look out at everything, and said, now I want to get to the point. I know it's a rush, but I want to marry you. I want a wife and at least 3 children. And she said, well, let's open it by telling me your first name. By the color, they're fading. These were good photographs when they were put up there. Oh, that's all of them. Coral Ricketts and Martha and Marion. Tom Larson. Yeah, well, that's the old house that burned. And so we were in Puerto Rico at a fisheries meeting, and the power lines were down and there was no power. And the men were at the head of the bay hunting, and it was too rough. They couldn't get back. And they went down to try and save a skiff that had broken loose, and looked back, and it was just a tower of flame. And little Alice never got out of her bed, but the whole house went just in 20 minutes or so. And then because there was panic, they never turned on the fighting equipment. So all the other buildings around went too. The barn, the warehouse, all the fishing gear, everything went. And so we came back to absolutely nothing, no clothes, no nothing. And then we started to build, I don't know what's, even the devil hates a quitter. We just started to build a house again. And Diana, it's what saved her, I think. This building was still here, and this is what we moved into. And we had a mess hall set up here, and people came from all over Alaska to help us build. People came with books to help our library. You found how good people were. The loss of our home in Little Alice and all the paintings, the originals and stuff from the big library were a great loss. But then people came and built it back, and you realize people are good. There's a few lemons, but damn few. And in a tight spot, nearly anybody will help. And so, here's what we have from it. What's here is the good stuff. Like my wife with an octopus, and then some of the pictures that she did when she was young and beautiful. She became old and beautiful. She was never not beautiful. We had our children. Been married 50 years, and we were just enjoying each other. That's what's so tough about it, getting sick. Just when you had no worries. But yeah, I'll take the 58 years I had. And let's see, what else do we have here? Let's see. I'd rather have that on with your filming. Okay. In case my seat is wet. You don't ask it to move, you make it move. You don't have to negotiate and talk about it, you just drop the blade that does it. So, some people think it's morbid, I don't think it is. There's nothing wrong with death. It's a way of getting out of a lot of pain. And it's, did you live? Is the important thing. But anyway, yeah, I see more of amusement than anything else. They say, what's that for? And I said, it's mine. Well, I'm sitting on top of it because I didn't die when I expected to. And I had a bet with Mike Szymanski that I'd die in the fall of 2012. So here I am. We filled the coffin with ice and beer and had the party. But it's a good buy. I got it for about half price. And I'm a Scot, I couldn't bear the thought of not getting a good buy for something you're gonna need anyway. I wanna go into here with a martini in my hand and a whoopee, what a ride, you know. And I think I will. Well, I'll open this end anyway. If you don't mind. There it is. That's the crank that you put it down with and then throw the crank away. I went to war when I was a teenager. I had a great love. I had a woman for 58 years that I truly loved. Didn't understand love until she got sick, and then, you know, I wouldn't let anybody else take care of her. She was mine. So, you know, all in all, it's been one hell of a good life. No kicks. I'm taking up this whole house when I should be turning it over to my kids, but I'm not going to rush it. Not unless it starts to hurt a little more than that. Otherwise, my advice to a kid is study hard, live well, take your chances. Sometimes you'll get hurt. Sometimes you might even get killed. But it's better to die doing something you want to do than live 30 years on a job you really didn't like. Okay, I'm going down for a cup of tea. My right foot is giving me a bit of a fit, and I hope I'll sit down, have a cup of tea, and hope it goes away. If it doesn't, I'll put some of that stuff on it that's supposed to stop pain, but it doesn't seem to do it every time.